and go ahead.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. I believe all board members are present. Is that true, Keel? I was looking through the...
Yeah, that is true.
Robert is back.
Is Amanda? I'm sorry,
Let me just
Marina?
see. Marina, let me see.
Marina.
I don't see Marina.
No. I did not see Marina.
Oh, I see Robert. Thank you.
Okay, yep, and Robert's back. Okay.
And Matt.
So we have Robert, we have Matt. I have to scroll
Oh,
up.
there's Matt. Okay.
So it's just Marina that we don't have right now.
Okay, and it's 7:09. So we can stand for the pledge?
Yes, and here's, can you see the flag now? I'll have to share that, hang on. I'd like to be able to share this so that people can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see the flag?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right, I will start.
Okay.
So everybody, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good group effort.
All right, thank you. Okay, our mission statement: the Viroqua Area School District provides a quality education for all students that inspires continuous learning, positive relationships, curiosity, and compassion in an environment that welcomes diversity while developing respectful and responsible citizens. So first, we'll have our spotlight on education, senior student board reps, and video team recognition.
Okay. And I don't have, let me get that screen up over here. That screen up. One of the things that, if Jason, if you could come on, because one of the things that we always like to do at this time of year is thank our high school seniors who have been representatives for the Board of Education for the year. And we always want to try to, and it's, of course, with the situation, it's difficult, but we want to always recognize them for their effort and commitment to the board and for participating with us for the whole year.
Yeah, I agree. And we have this year we've had two senior members that have been very active. Josie Dobbs and Brooks Eckern are both come to numerous board meetings and represented their class and the high school in general. And Brooks, unfortunately, was not able to join us tonight, but it does look like Josie was able to join us. So just want to thank, in that matter, thank all the seniors. Obviously, quite a trying year and not what anybody would expect a senior year, but they've done a great job, and both Josie and Brooks have done a great job representing their class.
And I've unmuted Josie. Josie, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So like Mr. Kress was saying, Josie, we really appreciate you being with us for the year. The board really does appreciate having students who are interested in what the board does and participating throughout the whole year in the process and dedicating. You know, you have such a busy schedule. You're a great example of a student who is so busy all the time with activities and volunteerism and academics and athletics, and you just do, and with work, and it's a wonderful thing that you commit time to the Board of Education like you do. And we always want to ask too, you know, has it been interesting for you this year?
Yes, I wanted to be more like kind of witness what the board does as far as decision making and discussion, especially with being in student council and seeing how we run things as like a student organization. I was just very interested in seeing how you guys ran things and did things, and it was very interesting. I learned a lot, and it was helpful too. Public speaking was also very helpful.
Good, good. Is there anything that the board would like to ask Josie, or anything that they'd like to say to Josie? Okay.
Josie, I just want to say thank you to Josie and Brooks, who added a lot to our meetings, and I always enjoy having the students. I want to wish you guys both the best in your future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josie.
Yep.
Okay. And then we also, and Angie had wanted to make sure that we recognized Tyler Gabrielson, and who's one of our CTE teachers, and has helped make videotaping of the board meetings a possibility this year, and especially senior Caleb. Caleb is, and I'm not going to say his last name right, Caleb Risher, and Caleb is a very responsible, very capable, talented student who has helped us even when Mr. Gabrielson's not been available, and run video for us. And he's helped me troubleshoot several times when we've been trying to work our way through how we could make these technological advances so that the public could be present for the meeting. So they've done a great job this year, and it's the point too now where they're asked to go and videotape city council meetings and other meetings within the community, because they recognize their ability to do the videos and to publish those to live feeds to Facebook, or record them and post them. And so we appreciate all that they've done to help us be more transparent and have our videos, our board meetings open to the public. So thank you, gentlemen.
All right, any other comment on agenda 5? Otherwise, we'll move on to agenda item 6, welcome visitors, public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, we should have Travis. Travis should be here for public comment. He's present at the school district office. And so are we ready to have Travis? There he is.
Here, we're getting
There he is.
Oh.
Hi. Yeah, there's a couple of us here in the office, and this is to everyone. I think I have a pretty decent sense of who's out there, and I know it's been hard to find time to think about September for everyone. No, this meeting is kind of about this year, and the school deserves a lot of praise for just throwing together a new process with no notice and tight resources. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. Keel's told me some already, but you know, next year is a different game, and we have a few months of lead time, and it requires some forethought. And so far I've heard from a few of you that what we're going to do next year in 2020 and 2021 depends on what the state decides to do. And I think just waiting for the state to tell us what to do is not the approach that is good for us here in Viroqua. You know, Tony Evers and the CDC, they're talking about watching the curves and phasing out restrictions slowly if the rates drop a certain amount. I'm sure you're all paying attention to this, but you know, we have something very interesting here in Vernon County. We have 0 documented cases of coronavirus. I mean, they're obviously not talking about us when they think about these things. They're not watching our needle. Our needle doesn't move. And nobody's going to talk about us unless we start that conversation. And so what I was talking to Angie about and Dr. Arnson is starting that conversation with the state and not waiting for them to come to us. Now, you know, I'm sure we got lucky with the 0 cases. That's a stroke of luck for us. But if you look around, you know, this is a rural environment. It's naturally more resistant to epidemic. In an epidemic, all that matters is that on average, each person transmits the virus to, on average, less than one other person, and that's containment. And we can do that. We can have the kind of schools that a city can't have and still have containment, just as a function of what, you know, the way that we have set up this community. We could quite possibly have, you know, you can let your minds go on this. I think we can quite possibly have regular 15-person classrooms. We can't have assemblies or lunchrooms. We can have most of what we do in school, but the same group of kids only interacting with each other And we can do that, and we can still have containment. We don't know this for sure, but there's epidemiological models that are getting published out there. The technology is great on this stuff now. We can run those models and we can find out. The main problem is that in Madison, they can't have that. They have cities, they have highly networked cities. They will spread. They can't contain if they have real school. They're going to have bad schools next year. I mean, we have no reason to think that things will improve for them. There will still be a virus. There will still be a population that's not immune. They will still have the same restrictions. And PDI won't develop a policy that will let us have a school that we could handle unless we start that conversation. I know that you don't have a chance to respond to me right now. But I am hoping to do that. I'm hoping that we can show them that we can be different and still meet public health goals without being as restrictive as a city. A city is a different place. I hope we can send them our plan and petition the state to approve that plan for Viroqua. It is possible that we can be a role model for other rural communities. That's all, you can think about that if you want to. But they should approve it for Viroqua because the numbers already show, and the numbers will continue to show, that we can be more resistant than what they developed for Madison. So I'm just telling you this. I'm not asking for, a couple of you knew I was going to come and say this, and I'm not asking the board for anything right now or any comment, but just please, all of you, keep this in mind. Again, Dr. Unson has offered to sit with me and try to figure out what he and the district might be willing to support, and then we would come to you. And hopefully this time next month, we'll have something substantial for your consideration. That's basically, thanks for keeping that in mind as we talk about this year.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you. Appreciate you coming tonight. Are there any other public comment, people present for public comment? No. Okay. All right. Vicky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 7, public hearing regarding the request to the Wisconsin DPI, Department of Public Instruction, to waive the following requirements.
Okay, so I will speak to that because what the Department of Public Instruction has done is recognize the impact that the Safer at Home orders have presented for schools, and with the students not able to be present in classrooms with their teachers, we're just not able to continue instruction at the same 1-to-1 hour per hour ratio that we were doing previously. Our faculty and staff have done an excellent job, as have the students and their families, in working hard to try to have the continuity of learning that we all wanted to present to the students, and we wanted to preserve for the students. And so what we do know is that it's a dramatic shift in how we conduct our lessons each day, and the idea that we are able to substitute hour per hour what we were able to do in the classroom is just not possible. So what the state has done in the districts throughout the state, they made it very simple for every district just to request a local waiver to say, we understand that we won't be meeting our minutes of instruction the same way we would in a normal year. And even though we're doing our best to continue learning for our students and instruction for our students, and continue with our high school students to get them through, and our seniors through to graduation, that it is an unusual situation, and it's essentially a grace year from the Department of Public Instruction to say, you're doing your best. We appreciate it. And so we ask that the school board approve a resolution later in the meeting that recognizes the waiver, and then the state will allow it. The second waiver request is for the educator effectiveness cycle, which is the state's evaluation process. And what the state has also recognized there is there's a 3-year cycle for instructors. for educators in the evaluation process. And the third year is the summary year, is when most of the information from the past 3 years comes together. There's meetings with the evaluators, there's formal classroom observations, informal mini observations. A great deal of effort goes into monitoring the teacher's goals for the year and the expectations. And what has happened is the teachers are not going to be able to, in all cases, fulfill all the expectations for that summer year. For example, if a teacher was using forward exam scores as a measure for their student improvement, well, the state asked for a federal waiver from that testing, so we won't be conducting the forward exam this year. So they'll have to, they won't be able to use that particular measure in evaluating their own SLOs, or their student learning outcomes goal. So what the state is allowing is, if there are situations where teachers aren't able to complete their goals for the year, if they aren't able to we aren't able to complete the observations, they aren't able to do the work, that they can just essentially also have a grace year. They can continue that next year and finish it next year. So it's taking the pressure off of the teachers, understanding that they may just need more time. So again, that waiver is being made available to districts throughout the state in a simple process, simply allowing school districts to say, yes, where necessary, we'd like those educators who need more time to be able to have more time. So those are basically the two waiver requests that we're asking the board to consider at this time.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
Vicki, does this require us to let anyone who's here speak on that because it's a public hearing? And I don't know if they're all muted or if they want to or not.
Keel?
Now someone can ask a question from the audience and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Is there anyone that has a question? Anyone that would have a question regarding these two waiver items?
Can I ask a question, Keel?
Yes, who's asking? Is that Liz?
Liz.
Yes, Liz.
So I was just wondering if we do apply for the waiver, whether some people that are able to complete things, or perhaps there are a few summary year teachers that did get their observation in and maybe even were able to complete their summary year process, if they would be able to count that as their summary year.
That's an excellent question. And yes, what the state has allowed is simply to say where a teacher has been able to complete the process to the satisfaction of the teacher and the evaluator, and they can agree that they've met the process for the year and can move on. It's really an allowance for those who are simply not able to, or feel like they would need more time and want more time to be able to have it. So yes, there's flexibility within the waiver. It's not an all or nothing. It's simply allowance for those who need it. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Vicki, I don't think we have any other questions.
All right, then agenda item 8 is our school board resolution for the waiver of certain school board or school district requirements pursuant to Wisconsin statute 118.3811 and 1M. I need a recommended motion to adopt the resolution for the waiver of certain school board or school district requirements pursuant to those statutes.
So move. It's Kim.
Is there a second?
Amanda, second.
Okay. So we'll do a voice vote. I have everyone's name. So Angie, is Angie able to vote?
Probably needed it if it's only 2 rules or so long.
Second.
Amanda,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Marina? Is Marina on yet?
I will check. No, I don't see Marina yet.
Okay. Kim,
Aye.
and I vote aye. I was not able to hear Angie. I want to give her one more chance.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then it's yes.
Okay. Okay. We got through that one.
Is there static?
Yeah.
Is there static or can you
There's-
hear me now?
No, it's a lot of echo, broken signal.
Static?
You can use the reactions and do a thumbs up on your screen too, on your menu.
I'll go back on you.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on to agenda item 9, consent agenda, proof of public notice, approval of agenda, March minutes, voucher summary 1. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, proof of public notice, approval of agenda, March minutes, and voucher summary 1 in the amount of $267,761.79 as presented. Do I have a motion?
Kim, so moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Amanda, second.
Thank you, Amanda. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And moving on to voucher summary 2, these are expenses related to the health insurance, and I need a motion to approve the voucher summary 2 in the amount of $246,282.40 as presented. Is there a motion?
So move, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. A second? Do we have a second? I will second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
And Angie.
All right. Did that go, Keel?
I'm not seeing,
I didn't hear.
Matt. So,
I did send Matt a message that he looked frozen to me.
right.
Yeah.
And I think
I
he
don't know
may,
if he's seeing the message, but I did send it to him.
And Robert? Is Robert still on?
Robert is still there. His,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Because Matt is off.
Matt must have, he must have frozen.
So,
Let's see.
district coordinator update.
We had, yeah, we need Matt's vote.
Yeah, because we only have the 3 of us.
Right.
Vicki, Amanda, Kim. I mean, Vicki, Amanda, Robert. Sorry.
Yep.
Keel, can you make sure that you don't need to add Matt? He's back.
I will check, but no, he's showing up.
Yep, he's back. He's just frozen again, I think.
No,
Matt?
You should be okay without Matt.
Are you sure we had?
We had 3 ayes, 2 abstain.
There's Matt. Maybe Matt needs to
Call in.
Or
You still have 3-2. That's a majority of the board.
But we had Matt present though too, so it would have been,
Is he still frozen?
yeah.
I think so.
So he's present, so we need to,
Oh, is he giving a thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
okay, there you
Okay.
go.
All right.
And I
thank you.
think because it's a video, and I will say this, because as Mike said before, there's been a lot of legal seminars and there's been a lot of training about virtual meetings, and the fact that we're recording it and we will be posting it publicly for anybody in the community to watch after the meeting also. So a visual confirmation that way will work and we'll verify as we go to make sure people can be included. But thank you all.
could Matt also open up his chat and vote yes on that?
Yeah, you can, that would be absolutely fine.
If Matt opens a chat to Vicky, then that way he can type I or no.
Yes. And Vicky can.
Yeah, I have my chat open now.
Mm-hmm.
You can do one privately to Matt so that he can send his answer back to you. And maybe even Angie too, if that works better.
I can see yours, Matt. Okay. So I think we're good with voucher summary 2.
Okay.
So resignations and retirements, we had none. Is that still the case?
Yes, that is still the case.
Okay. 2020 summer school contracts, item C. So we had a list of assignments, the booklet. It
I'll
looks
make
like
a motion to approve the 2020 summer school contracts.
we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And that was Kim.
All right, so we'll vote.
Discussion?
Oh, sorry, thank you.
No, that you bet.
Any discussion?
That's a, and
I know
and
I read through the materials that were sent. Thank you.
Can I just say, Keel, you have not the right agenda part up. You don't have the agenda part we're talking about. It's just, if you don't, so I don't have it in front of me. I have to go to my other computer. You've got summary 1 and then you don't have the other stuff. Oh, I see it now. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. We want to make sure that that's shared properly. So thank you for checking.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So anyway, what we did, and I think Vicky too, you're thinking during the earlier committee meeting, we did have some discussion about summer school there also. And in summer school in particular, what we've been doing with all of our activities is to say, we haven't been told yet that we can't have summer school this year. And we would really like to have summer school, and I think all the kids would love to have summer school, and I think the families would love to have summer school. So we decided that we would go ahead and plan, because we want to be ready to roll if we get the go-ahead for summer school. Now, what happened since we, of course, we start this process early in the semester. Brenda and Hagrud and Tom at the elementary school, Brenda does a lot of work to get information from teachers about the potential classes and signups, and it takes months for that process. So what we wanted to do is to let parents know, yes, we want to try to hold summer school. Now, at the end of the week, the latest order from safer in place order from the state had us essentially not returning to the buildings for the school year, and the legal counsel clarification on that from the state is that means through June 30th. So at this point, we're feeling as if we won't be able to have summer school in June, but we are still waiting for some of the definitive legal opinions on that, so we know. We also then have been in discussions and have been for some time now, the possibility of rescheduling summer school to later in the summer. Now, we're in a holding pattern on that right now, simply because we wouldn't want to try to schedule it in say July right after the 4th of July, and find out that we really couldn't do that until later in July or the beginning of August. So we're waiting for a little bit more clarification on what we may be able to do, and that's going to be dependent on some of the analysis. As we've all heard, the White House has set some rules for the amount of time where cases have to be on the decline for a state. They're watching that information and sharing that with us as part of our planning. So what we'd like to say at this point is we'd like to continue with our planning for summer school so that we're essentially ready to roll if we get the go-ahead to run summer school yet this summer. So, and that's what the information that we've prepared and are working with may have to change. The dates certainly will, I think at this point, have to change, but we want to keep moving on it. We want the board's approval to keep moving on it and move forward with it to the best of our ability, and with the hopes that we will indeed be able to have summer school yet this year.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
Is it the same deadline for turning in?
At this point, and I'm not sure what the deadline was for this.
The materials went to press, Amanda, before Thursday, and as you know, it went out in the email and everything. So yeah, the deadlines, I was looking at that when I came in tonight, because we do have packets available for pickup out in the entryway here. And I did see that, the registration deadline. Obviously, we're going to be flexible, but I guess we should probably keep a deadline on there anyways. I mean, you got to have a deadline, but I would hope no one would feel turned away if they didn't meet that deadline. But I think so that we can plan, we certainly appreciate it. Just as we'll get the information to the parents as soon as we can, the interest level allows us to move forward in general anyways. So we haven't changed it, and we may. I mean, we can and we may.
Okay, I just was asking for clarification in case there was people watching, so.
Excellent.
I think it's May 4th is the deadline, if I remember right.
Other questions or discussion? All right, we had a motion and a second, so I will go through the roll. Kim?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Matt? Is there, okay. Aye. Angie?
She typed in yes.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, and I say aye, and Marina is not on yet, is she? Okay, so motion passes for summer school contracts. Moving to item D, 2021 school fees. The admin recommendation is to keep the same fee schedule as the past 5 years. Keel, do you want to discuss fees?
Yes, and we wanted to make this one easy, right? Say
Mhm.
no changes, but we certainly understand a difficult time this has been for everyone, and that people may not be able to work. There may be people who have had to go on unemployment, families that are impacted by some of the closures for sure throughout the community. We do know one of the things that we've been aware of this year is that there's some increase in some of our costs, potentially for hockey is one program where the ice time fees have had to increase this year, and they've been steady, been the same for many years, for over a decade, and so I think it was time for them to have to necessarily raise some of the fees. We did consider the impact of that, but based on the timing, we felt like we wanted to keep the fees the same this year, evaluate it through the next year, and there's a possibility that next year we may have to change, as there is each year, maybe have to change some of the fees. But we want the board to know that there will be some increased costs to the hockey program with ice time, but we feel like it's reasonable this year, and we will monitor that and look at that for next year. So all the fees are staying the same.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the fee schedule for the 2020-21 school year as presented?
I so move to approve the fee schedule for the 2021 school year as presented.
Is there a second?
You got Matt for a
Is that
second.
Matt? Second. Thank you, Matt. All right. Angie. Yes. Matt.
He was the second.
See this? Yes. I. Amanda.
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
Kim.
Aye.
And Vicky says aye, and Marina still is absent. Okay, motion passes. Item E, elementary school HVAC improvements. Do we have a motion to approve the elementary HVAC improvements bid from Demel Controls in the amount of $16,920.20 as recommended by Buildings and Grounds Committee?
Looks like Angie made that motion.
Thank you, Angie. Is there a second?
I can second Amanda.
All right, any discussion?
And Mike, I don't know if you want to talk
Sure.
about that one. I could. Okay, there you are. Okay.
What this project would include would be replacement of the dielectric unions that are at every heating and cooling section. So basically at every classroom throughout the elementary school building. And we've had a number of them fail, and when they fail, they can cause either a slow leak or a flooding leak, depending on how they fail. And with students being out and us being able to not run the heat for a few days in early May, it really is a good time for us to change these and basically remove them. And then they will install some isolating valves to allow us, if we do have a water leak or a pipe leak in the heating system, to isolate that and just shut that one off, or if there's some maintenance to be done, some more capabilities on that. It's something Terry and I have been talking about, but the timing is just never really good, especially when we run our summer school the way we do. And our buildings are busy, as we always say, and that's great, but those types of maintenance projects are hard to fit in. So when we knew we were going to be out for a while, we kind of said this is probably the time, coincidentally, and I think the last week of March, we had one outside the art room here in the elementary that had broken. or had let go a little bit and was a slow leak and it soaked the ceiling panel and stuff, and we were able to get that fixed. But it just brought it to a head and said, now is a proper and prudent time for us to move forward with that. This is a not to exceed cost done from the plans that were drawn at the time the building was built. We really feel there's going to be less of these because we've already repaired and removed some of them that were on the plan. And then we also believe some of them were not installed as designed. The understanding as to what those dielectric unions did for the system has changed, and it's not common practice to use them anymore. And so we're going just to a more standard build.
Any questions or comments from anyone else, or maybe from the committee?
Okay. So I'll go down the line for voting. Angie? Yes. Matt? Aye. Amanda?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
And Vicky says aye. Motion passes. Moving to item F. Bigley Pool HVAC replacement. Do we have a motion to approve the Bigley Pool HVAC replacement bid from Train in the amount of $4,438 as recommended by Buildings and Grounds Committee?
Robert, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Robert. Is there a second? Angie, seconds. Any discussion?
So again, I think that was something from the committee earlier, and so Robert, or Michael?
The committee discussed the idea of what we were going to do with the pool a little bit, but the bid being $4,400 or approximately that anyway. And the fact that we lose some energy efficiency with the other one, and that one might go down too. And we were concerned about mold of the building potentially, coming to fruition if we fail to adequately cool it and get the moisture out. And this unit, if we decided at some point to do something different in the pool area, the unit could be moved to maybe the elementary office or maybe the district office. It still would be usable. And it's a much more efficient unit than what the older units are. So we recommended that we do that. And I'll turn it over to Mike for some more comments if he would like to make those.
Yeah, this is something just to help, I guess, from the committee. There was actually 2 units. They're both located on the roof of the Bigley Pool, and they're used mainly, they don't cool the pool area. We heat the pool area and deal with humidity that way in the pool area, but in the reception area, and more importantly in the locker and changing rooms, I guess, and the other office that is located in there. There's actually being served by 2 units. One of the units did go down, and it's one of those things, you've been having problems with it. You've put some money into it every year to try to limp it along. And late last fall, when the compressor went, Train, or the people that were servicing it said, it's time. And so we're going to talk to them about the other unit, but we know we need to run off of 2 units. Having on a hot, humid day, cooling that area, it wouldn't be able to keep up and would cause issues with that otherwise on that older unit anyways. And so we'll use the new one as probably the more primary and to handle the load, and go from there. Again, it's nothing new, but understanding that, you know, we don't know when we're going to open the pool, but when we do, we most likely will need to have it air conditioned. So we recommended it to the committee and appreciate them moving forward with it.
All right, any additional questions, comments? Looks like Angie voted yes already. Thank you, Angie, you're very quick. Matt? Aye. Okay, Amanda?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
And Vicky votes aye, motion passes. Moving on to agenda item 11, information. Item A, Buildings and Grounds Committee update.
Oh, we got the window replacements. So, and Mr. Brendel showed me some of the issues with the window, and he can better explain that than I can because he's living it. Maybe Dr. Arneson probably can share the inside view because it's his office where we were started. So go ahead, Mike.
Yep. So they did start the window. It's not a window replacement project. It's reflashing and addressing the issues that were causing the leaks in the elementary windows, and all the windows and openings, including the doors and entryways and everything, the louvers that bring in cold air and everything. All those areas are being reflashed, if you want to say. And because we've got a split-faced block building, in order to get to that flashing and to replace it, they need to remove one layer of one or two layers of the split face, and then fix the issue at hand, and then come back and seal it up and replace the block. Additionally, we're going to be having all the control joints caulked, if you will, and seal that back up. The process will also involve cleaning all of the block all the way around with, basically a pressure wash and clean, and then a sealant placed on, because that block is porous and does absorb water and periodically, and we haven't done it. We did areas where we sealed it, but we haven't done a complete sealing of this building since it was built, so we're way overdue. And all that is to keep the water out. I mean, that's the main part of our goal here. As they got in on the first window, they're probably getting sick of me asking any surprises yet, but I've just been doing this since 2011 now, and every time you have a project like this, you have surprises. I wouldn't say we had any surprises. I think we had more opportunity where we're identifying some areas of lack of insulation that we're going to be able to using, spray foam that we have now compared to what we didn't have in 1995 to kind of seal up some of the areas that it'll definitely help with not only our energy efficiency, but the comfort, the lack of drafts. It's not gonna fix all the drafts. I don't, whenever you say something like that, I fully anticipate it's gonna fix all the leaks. And that's what I keep telling them. I mean, we're not doing this to develop another problem. We're trying to look at a whole picture, what else could leak on this window type of situation, so that, any leak is not going to be acceptable for us when this is done. So we're working on that, but they started down on Dr. Arnson's. They actually did knock out some throughout the building and around. And if you came up to the school right now, you would see that, to verify that the issue with the insulation and what we were seeing on the end dams was the same throughout the building and not just on the one that they first opened up, so that we can plan accordingly, because it's going to take a little bit of extra materials and a little bit of a different plan for what we were doing. But they started with a small crew. They basically are working their way down the southeast side of the building, starting with the district administrator's office and moving down. It's really nice without, staff in the classrooms, because it's disruptive, it's loud. You know, our original plan was to get as much as we could before kids came back. You know, the 1st of May, if that was, well, now that we're closed, they'll just be able to keep going on their schedule and not have to reallocate, you know, based on where there's kids. So that's good. The window project is in full gear, and if we just get some straightened up weather, I think they could really fly on it.
Any questions, comments? Thank you all for keeping those projects moving. That is the upside of having empty buildings, I guess, if there are any. Let's see, item B, preliminary budget.
So anything that I tell you tonight is probably going to change by tomorrow noon. That's just the way it is right now. And so, I mean, but we have to, and this is what we talked about as budget and finances. We take the pieces as we get them, and we, you know, continue to try to, you know, do our best, and understanding that time will always result in an end product that we can live with. But as we go, we can't get too excited in one direction, but we have to plan for worst case scenarios. And, you know, a month and a half ago, we were trying to figure out how this state was going to spend, if you want, a projected surplus. And, you know, whether we were going to see a tax cut or put away in the rainy day fund or put more money in public education or a combination of all three, that was the debate that was starting to be, you know, to occur down in Madison. And then, of course, COVID-19 came, and all that changed. I mean, money is going different places in the States, whether it be unemployment, whether it be, you know, just food. You know, they put more money towards education. You know, we don't know, and so we know spending, and then on top of it, state revenues are going to go down. So right now we're starting the process with what we're hearing out of Madison, and all that is what you're hearing. I mean, nobody really knows until mid-May when the revenue projections come in, and then of course you're still up to the whole legislative process. So, you know, it's what we're hearing out of Madison. Maybe instead of $179 per pupil increase in the revenue limit, you're going to see $100, maybe a $50 increase. Maybe you'll see a $0 increase. Maybe we'll cut you $50. So we're just going through and trying to run the scenarios and see what that does for the Viroqua Area School District's budget, understanding that we won't know. It's going to be late in the game this year. It's going to be late. So yeah, that's the 2021 budget update.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mike? All right, moving on to admin reports. I have Jason first on my sheet. Jason, do you want to go?
Yeah, definitely. So just hitting kind of the three topics, and I'll go from the bottom up because the top one probably has the most stuff to talk about. Volunteer recognition. I think you see in these times how many people come forward, and you know, there's been a lot of credit given to people during these times, but there's people that help out throughout the year, every single year, and there's probably too many volunteers for us to name tonight, but we just wanted to give out our thanks to all those volunteers that help everything throughout the year as we function through. Severe Weather Awareness Week. Last week would have been the National Severe Weather Awareness Week. So just a reminder out there to families to be having those type of discussions with their children. Last week would have been the normal week. We would have done our tornado drill here at school. But those type of things. And obviously over the last couple of weeks, we've seen that weather could be very unpredictable and weird in April. And then just the closure update. There's a lot of parts that go into this. You know, there's a lot of events, unfortunately, at the high school level we end up postponing. Hopefully within the next probably 24 to 48 hours, we'll get some, at the very least, some save the dates out there in hopes. I mean, we don't know what a month or two looks like from here, but we definitely want to have some of these events for the students. So We're going to probably, like I said, probably in the next couple days, be kicking out some save the dates just for families to keep their calendars open. Our teachers and students have done a great job continuing with their education. And so we've kept everything somewhat as consistently as possible. The grading system, as of this point, we're sticking with our traditional grading system, and the students are being very successful in that way. And a lot of our role, I think, in the building is just communication, and trying to communicate as best we can with families, students, staff members, everybody, without over communicating. I've seen students' emails, accounts, and seen how many messages they get throughout the day. So we try to keep our messages fairly short, but also get out the information as best we can to people. So it's a trying time, but I would say in general, the staff and students have been very resilient and very successful.
Great. Any questions for Jason? Comments? Okay, John is next on my list.
All right, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. The nice thing about having Jason go first is he says a lot of things that I was going to say. So a lot of the same things for the middle school, communication issues, and middle school students have many teachers. So that has been an issue of over communication, or otherwise said a lot of communication. So that is one issue. We are also in a unique age where parents really like to be involved and help, and some parents do like that and some don't. So this has been a much bigger issue than I anticipated going into this, and we are trying to work through it, finding that middle road somewhere to try to make it best for kind of all parents. So we continue with that struggle. I think from the survey and from what I've heard from parents and some of the parent emails I received back from some recent communication I sent out, they're very, very satisfied with what we're doing. Although it's not perfect, they are, actually extremely satisfied that the teachers have put forth the effort that they are through this transition and change. So, big time thank you for our teachers and students and parents for hanging in there. There's always room for improvement, and we look at those and we talk about those, but excellent so far. The middle school is going to, because their year-end programs and all of the events will happen beforehand, and they're tough to reschedule, like the Kalahari trip and the 6th grade Sugar Creek trip, some of those things. We are just going to cancel those for now. Hosting those events during the summer would just be complicated. So unfortunately, we'll be canceling those events. We are looking at some virtual transitions for our 4th and 8th graders. So hopefully we can address those yet, because they are so important to students. There's a Severe Weather Awareness Week issue or notification there. And how we're going to approach that is put a message on our website, and I've asked teachers to communicate out to students and parents to kind of be cognizant of this and maybe make a plan at home, be aware of it, that the season's changing and we're moving into tornado and inclement weather days ahead of us. So volunteers, we have a lot of volunteers who have been volunteers for different events like Spelling Bee, GOB. We have a variety of parents that come in and read to students in 5th and 6th grade, help with their homework. And they are just absolutely relentless, coming in year after year and helping. So they are wonderful. So a big thank you going out to the volunteers. So that's it for me.
Thanks, John. Any questions for John? All right, Jana, you are next on the list.
Yep, and I unmuted myself just in time. The Student Services team together has launched a website that we're pretty proud of. It has all of our contact info on it, as well as school closure and community resource information. We sent it out to each family through the school counselor. It's also located on our website underneath the student tab and the parent tab. It's an effort that we wanted to have all the resources housed in one place, and we get emails on different resources and information, and rather than sending those out like multiple times a week as we get them, we wanted a place that would house them all, and then we'll update it as we come. And if there's like a major update or a major resource that's added, we would notify all parents and community members about that. John mentioned the virtual transition meetings. We meet as a student services team every other week, and we just initiated that conversation, and we'll continue to talk about that. And we're also talking about connection rooms. We have received numerous feedback about helping students navigate the social interaction needs that they have. And those connection rooms potentially, and this is a beginning conversation, would be moderated by a school staff member and just allow for students to be able to talk with one another. And then we're meeting, the district team is meeting every other week. And on the other weeks, we are meeting as building level student services team to talk more about student specific needs rather than district-wide needs. We had obtained permission for students in the district, and we have started more individual and group virtual learning as we ventured into this closure being for longer than 3 weeks. We realized that there was a need for face-to-face interaction, so we obtained the necessary permissions and went and initiated the online or virtual learning. We also have numerous staff members, professional, paraprofessional staff members that are truly stepping outside of stepping outside of their comfort zones and thinking outside the box to be able to initiate learning experiences for our students. And one thing that I want to highlight is I was talking with a family. I'll make phone calls to various families that we work with. So I was talking to a family, and one of the families said, I look forward to one of the children said, I look forward to Miss Maddie's videos every week. And I said, oh, and the parent said, yes, that's true. We watch them over and over and over and over and over again. So it's just one example, one of the many examples of how staff, paraprofessional and professional staff are connecting with students in a different way. I saw one that Miss Maddie did that was a science experiment with milk and Dawn dish soap and food coloring, and that was one that our family watched over and over and over and over again and did it. But it's really neat to see that. An initial feedback I'm receiving from about a dozen families is they're pleased with the amount of special education support that their child is receiving. They're receiving support from the general education teachers and then also supplemental support from the special ed teachers. And we're moving forward with, I'm moving forward with talking to our teachers about feedback and having them solicit some advice or some maybe problem solve some situations, and then also helping them build that capacity to do that themselves too. So it's been a great, we've learned a lot, but we're continuing to serve the students the way that that I believe is the right way right now, I guess, and then we'll continue to make adjustments or updates as needed.
All right. Thank you, Jana. Any questions for Jana? Okay, moving to Tom. What's happening in elementary?
Oh, a lot. First, I guess I'm going to kind of take Jason's approach and start with the bottom first. Really want to put out a huge thanks to our volunteers. We have so many people come and volunteer. At first, I thought I was supposed to come up with a list of the volunteers, and that quickly became overwhelming as I saw all the teachers respond. We have volunteers come in, help to read, help reading with students. They help with math. They help with setup sometimes if there's a special activity going on. Just really numerous volunteers, and they are such a huge help to us. So really wanted to put out a thanks for them. Also, as far as Severe Weather Week went, we addressed that with our students by having a morning announcements. Marlene Blatz has been doing morning announcements, and Mrs. Albright shares that out through her webpage. But yeah, they do a morning announcements every day, and they included the Severe Weather Week information in there, and they ask students to do or practice a severe weather drill at home with their families because they need to know what's going on there too. As far as COVID-19 updates go, again, the teachers have really been doing a great job of interacting with the families, making the connections there. We've used a variety of tools to do that, and I think that has helped. But one of the difficulties that we have was we were definitely not prepared for a one-to-one kind of rollout at the elementary level. And so we really tried to provide the learning through packets. And the teachers put a lot of time and effort into creating these packets for students to give them learning activities to practice, as well as introducing new information to them, and provide that at home. Then they try to make connections either through email, through Zoom meetings, YouTube, whatever it may be. Google Classroom is used a lot to make connections with students at home and kind of do check-ins with everybody to see how they're doing, how they're progressing, and if they have any questions or need help. By not having a single set tool, it's kind of made it challenging for us because everybody's in a different spot. And so we are trying to figure that out as we go and figure out what works best for not only our students and families, but also for us too. So as this continues on, we're continuing to learn with the process. Again, some of the challenge has been communication. Most of our families have been doing a great job of checking in with us, giving us feedback and things like that. But we have a few families where we don't know if they're not there at that number that we have, or that email address that we have, or if they have connectivity issues out where they live. Delivering some of the packets, which I did to a lot of our families that weren't in district, we definitely have some students that are out there in the boondocks, and they may live in areas that really don't have good connectivity. So that becomes a challenge too. So we're trying to figure all that out. We are trying to contact families with phone numbers, email, whatever it may be, just to check in and make sure how they're doing, if they have questions, if they need help, whatever that is. And we're down to hopefully just a couple handfuls of families that we need to make those connections with yet, and we're still trying to do that. Again, teachers working diligently on trying to make those connections there with folks. And then our next big challenge is summer school. So while Brenda has worked really hard at putting all of that information together, and the teachers have worked hard in coming up with their classes, now we face the challenge of when are we going to do this and what may it look like? So we're all trying to figure that piece out too. So again, communication with our families has been a big part of what we're trying to do. And now we're trying to figure out also, how do we go about collecting that information and coming up with a way to grade effectively our students here at the end of the year. So we are starting to have conversations about that, what that's going to look like, how we go about collecting that information and that data from our students and our families to be able to give them some adequate feedback for the end of the school year.
All right, thank you. Questions, anyone? Comments for Tom? And Keel, do you have anything else?
Reports? Right. Just what I do want to mention about the COVID-19 updates is on our webpage, which you see now too at the top, Beth added a COVID-19 updates link to try to make it easier for the community and for families to find out information. So when you click on that link, what you see is the webpage that we have created for sharing information. And let me just make that a little bit bigger. And so the information as we get it and as it's coming in, go in there, including information about how to sign up for the meal program. And we're very proud of our staff who've been working on that program and got a little bit of TV news the other day, because they are preparing over 1,400 meals a day, over 700 families, or not families, over 700 individual students fed 2 meals each day. And it's the per capita response on that. I don't know any districts that's having that kind of impact as what we're doing over here, and with our food service staff and the bus drivers and all of the staff, the office staff and support staff that are working every day to help them get that done. So just incredible. But you also see copies. There'll be a new order that I'm be putting up tomorrow, or even later tonight. Governor Evers has introduced the Badger Bounce Back program, which doesn't have details yet, but gives us some hope that the first phase of bringing the communities back online will be to open up schools and limit some of the social distancing rules, but opening with some of those limitations, some more businesses in the community. So we're encouraged about that, but the ruling as it stands now is that we are not to have any instruction or students returning to the classroom for the remainder of the school year. And that was, as I said a little bit earlier in the meeting, is defined as through June 30th. So that means we are actively talking about summer school and what we can do there. And we'll be updating the parents and the community about that. But we, as we said earlier, we want to keep moving forward with the things that we can and keep that information coming to the public. So it's a good place for folks to come to look for information here if they indeed are wanting to keep up with with those frequent updates. So just wanted to share that.
Oh, great. Item D, student board rep report. I don't.
Let's see if Josie, are you still there?
Josie.
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
Oh, hey, Josie.
I know me personally, as far as online school, it's been kind of a mix-up. It's kind of nice to have more time to do things like baking and other hobbies. And it's nice to kind of get stuff done kind of quicker, but it also is very sad missing out on some of my senior memories. I've heard pretty much the same from other classmates. Like, they've had more time to do stuff, but also it's kind of difficult not being able to have like their junior prom and stuff like that. I know too, for like elementary schoolers and stuff, it is a difficult transition, talking to their teachers via like Skype or other Zoom things. Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
All right, any questions for Josie? Again, thanks for joining us tonight, Josie. Item E, back to Keel, referendum social media update.
Right, so we had just wanted to make sure we said thank you to the community again for supporting the referendum. We hope, as we have emphasized throughout the process, that they understand there are a lot of really important things that we'll be able to do for the school district over the next 5 years, including improving our bus fleet and the rotation there so that we have a safer, more modern, up-to-date fleet of buses every year for our kids. And a lot of the maintenance of the infrastructure that the community had said was a priority for them as we went through that last referendum process. And so that last thing I want to mention about that is why we say we appreciate that, and we take the support of the community seriously. We also want them to realize that there will be some tax relief from the school district side of their taxes, even with the referendum. So we want people to know that that's the kind of efficiency that this school board and Mr. Brendel and the business office and the district have been able to maintain for the community. So I'm gonna say thank you, and we'll keep doing that work for the community. The social media report, we've made that transition was a little bit difficult based on school closing to have as much social media and information going out. But we are working with our social media company, and that's been a help for us in terms of just knowing how and when to make posts so that people see them and have access to the information that we're sharing as a school district. So you want to watch our Facebook page. You want to watch, if you like Twitter, you can watch Twitter and Instagram, and you'll be seeing some nice improvement. You have already, if you've been watching that page, I'm sure you've probably seen some nice improvements to the quality of the posts and the professionalism of that. And you'll be seeing more as we've got teachers who are asking their students, for some pictures of things they're doing and getting things together that we would like to share with everybody too. So it's been a good transition in spite of the difficulties. And so we appreciate everyone who's working on that. That's been a lot of, Beth has been behind that in the offices and the administration. And then a lot of the staff are getting involved now in sharing that and updating that information. So, and I see, Vicki, that Angie has a comment in the chat, but I can't pull it up right now.
Yes, I was going to ask if it's okay if I read that before we
It is, yes.
go to item F. So Angie Lawrence wrote, I would like to thank all of you and your staff for the great work you're doing. I'm hopeful that we allow students to keep the hotspot devices and Chromebooks over the summer if at all possible. I would also like to thank our community for supporting the referendum. We're very fortunate to live in a community that strongly supports education. Thank you! Exclamation mark, and I second that. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any questions for Keel before we move to item F?
Yes, my only piece is, and it's all new. So just to make sure that we're all keeping updated, and as well as parents, as to what our next month looks like, how school is going to continue, how it may change, any dates that as they come up. I know there isn't one right now where you would have shared, but just that, having those kind of things in there, and also understanding, and I guess is for all the administrators, and it sounds, like there is some going on already. However, learning may be different right now, or it is different. So is it, how can we continue to move differently and understand all, any challenges that families might be having? So parents were off work, but slowly as things open, there's going to be parents going back to work, which is then going to leave, which I think there already are some middle schoolers watching younger kids and helping them with homework, or now on the farm helping. And what can we count as some of those as learning experiences, maybe in lieu of a packet or, a crossword, or, things like that, that we can embrace those and let families also have a part in determining, to what their learning looks like at home that fits with their families, and understanding we value everything that every teacher is putting out there. Because like Angie said too, and Vicki, like, parents are happy that teachers are putting what they're out there, but what can we do over the next month to even make that picture bigger and accept everything that everybody is going through, and as their families' needs also change, because they're going to, when places start bringing folks back, or if they have been essential this whole time working, how do we help with that for the next month as well, or whatever that end date is? So that's.
And it was one of the things that the board approving the waiver earlier this evening was essential, so that as we've had some discussions about how we proceed through the remainder of the year, and how we talk about how we can wind down, because this is such a rough change for everyone, to suddenly be, have everything that you're used to on it every day, kids coming to school and having school every day and having that changed. But we will be working on winding down the year and trying to work with families to change some of the approach going through the ends, because that's one of the favorite times of year for the kids, whether you're a senior or you're a kindergartner. They love the last day of school or the end of the year, and as everything as we start to celebrate everything towards the end. So we'll be looking to make some adjustments there, and as soon as we have, as you said, Amanda, some of those dates lined up on the calendar that make sense, we will be sharing those with all of our families and working with them to finish up the year strong. So thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, our last item, F, board report, board member referendum election. Congratulations to Amanda and Matt for your re-election to the board. It allows us to continue with our same board. So congratulations to both of you. And as Keel also updated, the referendum passed. So grateful for that. Allows us to move forward and do some planning. A little more knowledge of what we have to work with, what we can plan in our 5-year plan and ongoing. Angie, did you have any comments about the board report? You could type them in and we can share. If there's anything you want to share before we adjourn. Other questions, comments about the election? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I think that was Kim.
That was Kim. Do we have a second?
Second, Amanda.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. I think we can just do, can we just do a voice vote since we're adjourning?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 8:30. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vicki, for stepping in. Thank you, Angie. Thank you,
Sure.
everyone.
Thanks, and congrats again, Matt and Amanda, from Angie.
See you all soon.
Bye.